This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm here with Northern Colorado Tree Service. Since 2018, this family-owned and operated company provides a first-class tree service as experts in pruning and technical removals, ensuring that your land retains its natural beauty. I'm joined by the owners. Guys, thanks so much for joining us here today. Let's start off a little bit about yourselves. You're both individuals really who appreciate the beauty of Northern Colorado. You take pride in what you do. For nearly 5 years now, you have been serving the public right here in this community. Recently became an award-winning tree service company. Share with me a little bit about what you did before, how you came to the area, and how you got involved in this type of work, James.
I grew up in Washington State, Pacific Northwest. I moved to Wyoming when I was 14, and it was kind of a natural progression to go into the oil field, which I absolutely did not like, and couldn't really put my heart and soul behind it. And I'm a firm believer in whatever you do, you better put your heart and soul in it, whether you like it or not. So
exactly.
I wanted to try to get back to my roots a little bit. Growing up in Pacific Northwest, my granddaddy had fruit orchards. We were around a logging community, you know. So, and it's actually kind of funny because I kind of laughed at this urban forestry, right? Okay. Being like, is that really what, you know, city people do?
Sure.
They pay people to work on their trees. Mm-hmm. And as I progressed in the oil field, I was looking at different places to try to go with what I was going to do. And it kind of fell kind of naturally into tree work. I rock climbed for many years until I was in a motorcycle accident and couldn't rock climb any further because I had tendon damage, which, you know, for climbing trees and ropes, you don't need like those finite, tiny little grips. So I was comfortable with equipment and all that, and and being in the air, you know, I'm an adrenaline junkie. So
obviously this was a natural fit for you. I love what you said about get back to my roots, no pun intended, in this industry, right? Jackie, share with me a little bit about yourself. Whose idea was it to branch out and basically do this professionally?
You know, I think it was a joint effort. We had our son, and James, like he had said, he'd always wanted to get out of the oil field. So, you know, once he was born, there was a little bit more motivation to find something else out there. You know, being away from home was very hard. Yep. So once we had an opportunity to kind of start this business, we jumped on it. I come from a family, my father's owned several small businesses over the years, so I'm comfortable and familiar with some of what it takes to run a business, although this was a completely new industry for me too. So there has been quite a bit of a learning curve, but James and I love to work hard. We're very eager to learn new things, so we just love the challenge and really enjoyed working together and love Fort Collins, so it's been a great fit.
Once again, growing up in business was a natural fit for you, regardless of what type of business. We live in a beautiful state of Colorado. According to a tree census by the U.S. Forest Service, nearly 11.7 billion trees survive in the state's forests. Not to mention the ones we're looking at in our community right here. Are beautiful trees really something that you think a lot of people just kind of take for granted, would you say?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, a lot of times we don't get calls until there's an issue. You know, and more recently with the influx of people moving into the area, you have a little bit of, I guess, gentrification it'd be called, where, you know, people move in with money and they're like, oh, I can't believe how neglected this property is.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And they're spending money. So they're from areas, you know, the country where they take more, I guess, pride and care and like everything and
So really folks are not taking granted the beauty, but many times they're taking for granted they need care.
Yeah.
And they really need some help.
And part of our job, and one of the things we try really hard to do, is educate our customers, you know, teach them what kind of trees they have, what they need to expect over the years, as far as maintaining them and lifespan of them, and really just encourage them to look at them as a value and an asset to their property as well.
Sure. Jackie, first let's start off by defining for the viewers out there what an arborist is. I mean, we're talking about a tree surgeon in the practice of arboriculture. Explain to them a little bit for those that don't know.
You know, I think this is really James's wheelhouse. He loves the arboristry. I love the office part of it. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about that?
I mean, an arborist is someone who is educated and skilled in all aspects of tree work.
Okay.
You know.
They basically know how to do the caring of these trees professionally.
Yep.
I mean, so as a professional, they know how to properly maintain trees for the safety of the public as well as the health of the tree. Is it safe to say that, I mean, trees are an investment for folks. They're putting them on their landscape, and therefore they require proper tree care. Is this kind of where your company comes into play for folks, not only residential, but even commercial sites as well?
Yeah, I get a call from the office from someone who says, I have trees in my yard that have a lot of dead in them, or this tree looks like it's leading to the house. And then that's where I step in and kind of fill in the blanks a little bit. James will go over, take a look, assess, and see what we need to do to help them out. But yeah, we love helping people and, like I said earlier, educating them about what a valuable asset trees can be.
Absolutely. I mean, so proper care is necessary. Here in Colorado, we're talking about we have trees that are as tall as 60, 70 feet high. I mean, let's face it, this can be dangerous work. Is it important for the public out there to understand that some of this tree care and even removal is not a do-it-yourself project and probably should be left to the professional?
I mean, all the time I will go to give an estimate, and it's usually the wife is like, I'm hiring you without my husband even knowing it. So he's going to show up one day and the work's going to be done because I do not want him on a ladder anymore. He's getting older, or he thinks he's He-Man, but it really is an industry where even with people working in the industry, a lot of them don't have the experience to tackle
I would imagine
certain projects.
You've got to have the experience on that, yet at the same time, you guys are a small family-run operation, yet you guys have all the equipment needed to handle a variety of tree care needs. Tell me a little bit about the machinery and some of the tools that you guys have invested in to better serve the customer.
I mean, the number one thing that is going to help any tree service with production is a chipper. Okay. Like, that's the number one thing, getting rid of the material. We get calls all the time, like, we're on a budget, put the tree on the ground, we'll do the cleanup ourselves. Majority of the time they're calling us back saying, hey, come chip this for us, come haul it away.
Chipper. Now, do you also have trucks and that type of thing where you're able to pretty much take on any job out there?
We use bucket trucks when necessary, Stump grinders is a big piece of machinery. We just invested in a new stump grinder this year. Pretty expensive piece of equipment.
Yeah, I would imagine each one of those pieces is. And your team has the knowledge and skills to properly care for all your tree needs. You have certifications to prove it. Why is it important for consumers out there to ask about ICA certification when they're choosing a professional?
Yeah, I mean, this is an industry where there are a lot of fly-by-night companies. There are people that I hear from all the time who have had companies gather a deposit or drop a tree on their house, that sort of thing, and not follow through with any kind of insurance or anything like that. So even if customers don't choose us to do their work, I always encourage them to make sure that the companies that they hire are licensed and insured, because this is dangerous work and there are huge liabilities and risks involved. And accidents happen. No matter what you do, accidents do happen.
I love educating the viewers out there, letting them know, regardless of who we're talking with, I always say go with a professional. Not only can some projects be dangerous for the workers, but like you say, the surroundings, they have to be protected as well. How does a licensed and insured help a company to do just that when they're working with a company?
I mean, the first thing to do is check references. I'm consistently shocked at how many people don't ever ask us, do you have insurance? I mean, maybe 5% of my customers ask me that, wow, which is shocking to me because I think that's a giant thing to ask. And then, sometimes people will say, well, why is tree work so expensive? Well, let me show you why. Because it's very dangerous. We have all the insurances, workman's comp, everything, all the vehicles. So it's an expensive industry, and that's why costs are high. But insurance and licensing is a massive thing for a consumer to consider and do their homework on.
It's expensive too, is when your husband falls off the ladder and he's broken for life. So, it's important you guys be able to get out there. From small residential projects to big projects, like recently you've done at the Rocky Mountain National Forest, is it important to provide work that is not only high-end customer service, but also affordable. Is that something that you try to do for residential folks?
I guess I'll answer this one. I mean, it depends on the project. You know, there's some projects there's no way you're going to cut costs on because you know the complexity of it and the skill involved.
Absolutely.
You know, the price is the price to a certain extent, but
it's still competitive though. We're talking about when you're dealing with other professionals out there. Do you try to make sure that you're obviously giving them the best quality you can, best service you can, but at a price that they're going to have to understand you're paying a professional?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would say.
There are times, you know, if customers say, "Oh, I had another estimate from so and so," and if it's a company that we respect and feel is on par with us, we're willing to entertain, you know, price matching and that sort of thing. You know, we are providing estimates is an art. There's always going to be some variability to it.
Absolutely.
So mistakes can be made, things can be adjusted here and there. But I think James has done a really good job of being very accurate with and fair with his pricing.
Once you get out there, you never know what you're going to find sometimes when you get out and check it out. Before we let you go, let's touch on a few of the services that you offer. Expert pruning. What is it? Why is it needed and necessary really for the life of our landscape?
So that's when it comes down to knowing plant biology, like what branch to remove, how to remove it, how to do the proper cut. There are a lot of companies out there that you will bid on a tree, on pruning it, and then you're not comparing apples to apples when it comes to like a company that's going to provide an expert pruning, and we see it all the time. You know, like where they're literally hurt the tree, either causing it to die or causing, you know, it to have to like take a few growth cycles to get it pruned back into the shape that it needs to be.
Is there a certain season that it's best to do pruning, or is this year round?
We prune year round, but it varies on tree species.
Oh, okay.
You know, so and some trees tolerate pruning year round, others don't, you know, so.
If a viewer out there has an unwanted, dead, or even a dangerous tree, is removal one of your specialties? And how is that done? And more importantly, how is it done right and safe?
Having the right equipment.
Okay.
Having the right person in the tree removing it that knows what they're doing, has the experience, and was taught right. There's, you know, and that comes down to like these certifications and stuff. That's a lot of what they touch on is proper safety, you know, and that comes down to company culture, like how you run it, you know.
So you're talking about education that you've learned, getting certified, at the same time experience. You've done many jobs out there. That all comes into play. I mean, I've seen plenty of partially removed trees by amateurs, stumps that were left behind, and they can be eyesores. Even safety hazards to anyone walking or playing in a yard, especially children. Stump removal, how is that done? And are there cautions you have to take there as well?
First thing we do is 811 everything. So that's Jackie's job in the office. She does it online, I believe now. They used to just could call 811, and that's utility locates. So there's the three main: water, gas, and electric, right? So
So
before you do any digging,
check what's down there.
Yep, that's number one. And then the stump grinder, it's a big machine with a spinning wheel with carbide teeth that literally spins on hydraulics, and you grind the stump away. So
that thing's gone when you guys leave.
You have to have the right PPE, have to have the shields to keep any debris from kicking out. And, you know, like I've seen rocks fly 100 yards, you know, from a stump grinder before. I mean, that wheel is really going. So number one thing with that is
end of the day, you don't have a stump out in your front yard. It's nice and cleared away, and obviously kids can have a good time. A requirement to be part of your team, obviously, is a passion and respect for nature, but also continuing your education. Is that important and something you invest in when it comes to your team?
We do. You know, we treat our employees and our crew members like family. We take a lot of pride in that, and that's a giant company value over here. So like I said, we treat them like our brothers, our kids. I mean, we pay for their, they do act like kids sometimes. But yes, if they are wanting to get further certification or any kind of further education, we're more than happy to pay for that. We pay for all of their gear, any kind of PPE that they need. Lunches, vacations, bonuses. So yeah,
Excellent.
if they need
So
time off,
continuing
they need it.
education, definitely something you guys push them into, and if they want to go down that road, that's something you definitely a favor for them. As a family business, you're professionals, thorough, efficient. You bring attention to detail out in the field. You love your work. You love the trees. Does this continue to be rewarding for you, even though it's a new concept that maybe you've never done before?
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There are times where we want to rip our hair out, but the fun that we have, the people that we meet, the family time that we get together, the culture that we've created is just phenomenal. And every day we count our blessings and just keep working hard and plugging along and continue to watch them multiply.
That is excellent.
I still climb trees every day. I love it. So for me, like it's every day is something different. That's,
That is
so
cool.
you're never going to get bored with it.
It was a good fit for you, basically, like you said, something you can put your heart into. Compared to the oil fields of Wyoming, this is really a natural fit for you. Do you think this is something maybe your son will be doing in the future?
I tell him all the time. He's 8 years old. I tell him, I'm like, man, when you're in high school, you're going to be making 6 figures a year. Your buddies in high school are going to be like, what? Like in the summer, you know what I mean? Like he's going to be working for the family business, hopefully, if he wants, as a skilled climbing arborist.
That's exciting. That is a great story. I'm glad you shared it with us. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, first of all, take a look at the services they provide for you right there. Check out their past work. They've got an image gallery there. We've been showing you a lot of images along the screen right there. Most important, read the reviews they have. We're talking on Facebook, they have a 5-star rating. On Google, they have over 100 reviews out there for folks. Really, it's never a bad time to remove damaged, diseased, or dead branches from your landscape. They're available year-round. Be it one tree or an entire lot that you need cleared, definitely go with a professional. They've been voted best tree removal company recently. Once again, they offer 24/7 emergency service, free estimates if you're not sure, and located right here in Fort Collins. That is Northern Colorado Tree Service, treating you and your trees with care, enthusiasm, and professionalism. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.